Hey everybody, welcome, bem-vindos. This is my first video of 2020 on YouTube. So hello to everybody, hello to my subscribers. I wanted to make a video today talking about goals. I know that at the beginning of the year, a lot of students have the goal, a lot of people have the goal to learn a language. And it is a hard goal to achieve. And many people end up, not fulfilling, not finishing, and not accomplishing that goal for various reasons. Sometimes it's for personal reasons, right? Like work, children, might be your budget doesn't allow you to continue with lessons. And I just wanted really to make a video to give you guys some tips or talk at least about what can really help you stay focused on the learning process so you can achieve that goal that you've been working hard on. Okay, so the first thing that is very important is, first of all, it's good to have goals, right? It's good to know that I want to be fluent, in this case, in European Portuguese. But it's very broad, this goal, right? And you have to ask yourself, how am I going to achieve this goal? And the success to learning this, in this case, to achieving any goal, is to build a system. Okay, and incorporate that system in your daily life so it becomes a habit, a routine. Okay, that's really the success into achieving any goal, is once you incorporate certain things in your system, in your routine, you make them a habit so they come naturally. Okay, and you don't even think about it anymore, basically, right? It's almost like when you wake up in the morning, you know you need a shower, you know you need to brush your teeth. So it's something that comes naturally, and you don't see it as a chore, as a task. You see it as something that comes naturally. So if you incorporate the learning of a language as something, as a habit, and you have a habit to do certain things during your day, that will be very helpful in the learning process. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to succeed in learning European Portuguese. Okay, these are my personal opinion. If you have other suggestions, feel free to comment. But for me, as a tutor, as a Portuguese teacher, I really like to focus on keeping my students motivated, excited about learning the language. It does have its ups and downs, but I really try to keep my students engaged, because that is the secret to continuing with that goal in mind. Okay, so the first thing is you have to think small. This is my first tip. Think small. Don't think big. Okay, in this case, to keep you motivated, don't think big. Don't start big. That's what I usually recommend to my students or people that contact me is, usually when you start learning a language, you're very excited. So you want to have 3 lessons a week, 4 lessons a week. You want to practice every day. And that is great. But you have to ask yourself, can I keep this pace? Can I have the habit of doing this on a daily basis? And the answer is probably no, right? So the secret is build a plan, okay, a system where you are going to be able to be consistent for a long period of time. Okay, so usually what I say is, if you can only commit to doing, reading, for example, reading 5 minutes a day in Portuguese. Read some Portuguese newspaper titles, for example, every day. Or if you can only commit to doing 10 minutes of flashcards a day, or you commit to watching 1 YouTube video in Portuguese every day. Pick 1 thing, 2 things that you think you can do on a daily basis for a long period of time. Okay, and that will definitely help you. So let's say if you are learning Portuguese with me, for example, and on your own, you want to, practice some of the things we're learning, or you want to focus on one specific thing, if you just do a little bit, 5 minutes, 1%, just think 1% more. You think what's 1% after 365 days, okay? So if you're doing 5 minutes of reading in Portuguese, at the end of the year, look at how many hours you read, for example. Okay, so it's really, the secret is thinking small, thinking of things you can do. Okay, and you can even incorporate things that you used to do in English and now you do them in Portuguese. That's usually another thing I mention to my students, and it can be really fun and engaging. Little things on a daily basis, okay? So if you're used to, running or walking with headphones, instead of listening to an audiobook in English, listen to an audiobook in Portuguese. Or, there are several, even on my channel here, where you can listen to videos and repeat those words while you're walking, while you're exercising. So you're getting two things actually done at the same time. Okay. And when you're exercising, it's really good actually to practice your Portuguese, because you can really be very focused on it as you're walking or as you're running. Okay. So I just wanted to explain to you guys that don't think too big. Only if you're doing, honestly, in my opinion, if you're doing an immersion course where you're having 7-8 hours of Portuguese a day and you want to learn all this thing in 2 weeks, I mean, that's a different thing. But to become fluent in a language, okay, the plan is create things on a daily basis that become habits, okay? You wake up. If every day you wake up and you go on your phone, why don't you create the habit of reading the news in Portuguese? Okay, you go on your phone, you check your Facebook, you check your emails. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to check the newspaper in Portugal. What are the titles? 3-4 titles a day. Create a routine, okay? Or every time you walk, you listen to a Portuguese podcast. Or every time, every time you're cooking, you're listening to the Portuguese news in the background. So create habits that you can do. They're easily, you can easily accomplish them. You can easily do them. You have no issues with it whatsoever. I know I can do it. So little things, you're in the car and say the words of everything you see that you know already. So you know how to say carro, you know how to say pessoa, you know how to say trânsito, you know how to say colors, everything you see with colors. Say vermelho, verde, cor laranja. So incorporate little things that can make a big difference in your learning process, okay? So I will be talking a lot about this on my Patreon page, giving specific tips on how to build your system, on how to incorporate things that will become a habit in your routine, in your daily routine. So feel free to check out my Patreon, patreon.com, Learn European Portuguese Online. It starts at $1 a month, and you will have access to excellent tips to help you in the learning process, and also videos, other things, audios to help you learn Portuguese. Enjoy your day. Adeus. Obrigada.